The city of Delta, a combination of three communities, Ladner, North Delta, and Tsawwassen. Rich in agricultural lands, access to great fishing, home to an international port, and to the BC ferries. But having the Salish Sea and the mouth of the Fraser River in your backyard comes with heavy responsibilities, like the upkeep of dikes to prevent flooding and making sure the international ports aren't creating local safety issues. We are sitting down with Delta Mayor George Harvey to hear how he deals with it all. Mayor Harvey, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us.
Oh, thank you.
Let's start with some of your highlights from 2025.
And we had a very good year. We did a lot of playground improvements. We put in 4 play fields and tracks, and we did that by having a really good relationship with our school trustees. When I was city manager here, the trustees and council never got along. But when I became mayor, one of my platforms was to work with the trustees, and it was important that we had our own trustees running and on our team. So we really, over the last 7 years, have worked extremely good together. And by doing that development on and helping them reestablish good fields and tracks, it lifts up the involved communities. But more importantly, what I always said is that we should be doing that, providing the funding to the school trustees in order that we don't have to clear cut fields and forests and those types of things. And I always said that all the money that the trustees receive from the province, which is never enough, needs to stay in the classroom. And so that, to me, that was a really good highlight. I think is we had a good budget. We've done a lot of industrial development. We have new growth coming. But my worry for 2026 is quite different than it was for 2025. And that's because in Metro Vancouver, including Delta, there's a pause on all development. And if we don't have new growth as a local governments, and especially Delta, then we have to raise taxes. In 2026, our projected budget is for 2.9%. I'm very proud of that because we also are spending over $100 million in different projects, sidewalks, new roads, fixing up some of our rec centers, putting new parks in and new washrooms. So we're not sitting still, we're moving. But for 2027, I'm very worried about that. And we need to ensure, in preparing for the 2027 budget late next year, is that we really take responsibility for ensuring that our fiscal responsibility to our taxpayers is to keeping taxes as low as possible. And it's going to be a challenge, but one I'm looking forward to.
Speaking of 2026, I assume you plan to run again?
Absolutely.
Okay. You recently removed 4 of your city councillors. Why did you feel the need to do that?
Well, they actually were notified once they removed me from Metro for no reason at all. And they accused me of erratic behavior. I kept asking, like, where is this erratic behavior? But it's a sad day when Delta started, 4 members of council, started using Trump-type of politics. So was it hurtful? Yes, it was. But I was determined to say, okay, but continue to be working hard as the mayor to ensure our city's moving forward. And if you can find one example of me having erratic behavior in my 40 years of being in local government, in the last 7 as mayor, please show me.
One of them accused you of trying to silence them. What do you have to say to that?
The problem I had with the 4 of them is once they heard that that I was determined to run again, that's when all this happened. So it was really a political coup. And I haven't silenced anybody. And if you look at the many videos that you have of me available to you, running council, running Metro, I never silenced anybody. What I didn't do was attend private meetings in one of their homes to make decisions as to how to move Delta forward. To me, that's not right. It's not in respect of the local government's role and responsibility. And I did not attend any of those meetings. So was there a point where they said I went dark on them? Yeah, it was. But I was always here, always available for meetings with them. And I was always at council with them.
So will you run with a new slate, and do you think these councillors will try to run against you?
Oh, sure. They've already had, it's interesting because they actually were having re-election get-togethers a year ago. And so it didn't involve myself or Councillor Guichon or Councillor Dosange. But I expect them to run, and that's fine. It's up to the electorate, and not for individuals to determine who runs the city here.
Are you disappointed in the turmoil that has happened because of all this?
Very disappointed, and again, it was hurtful. They said I had mental health issues, they had all these things, but again, show me an example. But as my experience, I've been 40 years in local government. I have seen things like this happen before, and I was just determined to move forward in my role as mayor to run the city.
So what does this new slate look like for you?
The new slate, it's one that they're people that actually want to run for the right reason. Not to increase their salary, not to increase their positions, but also to serve the city. And they've been here for many years and have a proven track record insofar as what they've already done to ensure our city is working well. Looking forward to the election and looking forward to announcing the candidates in the new year.
When City News Connect returns, we will continue our conversation with Mayor Harvey about accusations of using his travel budget inappropriately. We are sitting down with Delta Mayor George Harvey to find out his response to claims that he was using his travel budget inappropriately while chair of Metro Vancouver. I want to go back to 2024. You mentioned you were removed as the chair of Metro Vancouver. When you said to give a reason, one of the reasons that was given was they felt like you were spending taxpayer dollars irresponsibly, and that's what they called the radical behavior. Reckless spending is what it was quoted as. Are you worried that your constituents will start to feel the same way as these councillors and think, where is my money going on your dime?
So I was Metro Chair, and Metro Chair had responsibilities. I was asked to go on behalf of Metro as the chair to those events. There's a finance committee that is structured by Metro. It's been there for many years. These trips are listed in the finance committee, and the finance committee approves that, and then it's distributed to the board. Interesting that Councillor Director and Councillor Kruger was on the finance committee. He approved it. And so this was all just a tactful move on their part to show reckless spending. I wasn't the first mayor to actually travel, insofar as the chair. Lois Jackson was chair for 2 terms. She traveled, and as part of being Metro Chair, trying to let the world know that Metro Vancouver is a great place to come and invest. And that was my role, and that's what I was doing. If you look at my expenditures on the city side, my expenditures are extremely low. Their expenditures are very high. I was very disappointed at UBCM in Victoria, where we were meeting with the ministers, and the Thursday morning meeting at 8:45 with Minister Randy Neal with regards to dredging and very important subjects. The 4 of them never showed up. So, I just think their attitude is not right. And I take exception to that. In fact, that was a big embarrassment.
Just to play devil's advocate, the spending, I think it was more so they felt like it was first class and these lavish trips. What do you say to the taxpayers who say you don't need to be doing all these fancy things, you can go, but you don't need to do all the extra?
So the travel time was like 15 to 16 hours. Almost all businesses have the ability, when you're outside of North America, to take business class. I mean, that's a long trip, and I don't sleep well anyways, and it was tough, and very tough coming back and recovering from it. So that was what was approved. It's been approved that way for many, many years. Councillor Kruger and Director Kruger, he asked me a number of times to travel, and which, he traveled actually once to California, but their expenditure on the city side is the highest that I've seen in a long time.
What's it like to have that tension within Delta City Council? Whether you're working together on the same party or not, tension is never good for the residents either if you aren't all getting along. So where do your relationships stand today?
We still, I'm determined to ensure that I, as the mayor and chair of council, that I run a good, efficient agenda, and to ask anybody, look towards some of the examples of where we haven't voted together. A lot of times we have voted together, and we've made 2025 a success because we did vote on the majority together. There's a number of things that I was very concerned, though, when I did a notice of motion. Bus shelters. We have a lack of bus shelters up in North Delta. Yet it's our highest ridership we have in Delta is in North Delta, especially along Scott Road, and we have the rapid transit there now. And so I made the motion that we move and try to equalize the number of bus shelters in North Delta compared to South Delta. That was turned down. And every time I drive along 116th Scott Road and 112th and see those people and the weather that we've recently been having in Delta, it's not fair that we don't have the same standard in North Delta there, but they turned that down. And that was just the fact that they did not want to see me get credit for things. I don't like to take credit myself. I always say credit should be all of council, because all the council votes on it. But for them to turn those down, to me, that was a bad sign. Again, they're getting back into this Trump environment, which I don't like, I don't respect, but that's where they're going. I always have been told, and many, many years ago, to take the high road, and that's what I continue to do.
When City News Connect returns, we will find out what Mayor Harvey is doing to help address the urgent care issue for his 120,000 constituents. We are talking with Mayor George Harvey about health care and what he's working on to improve access to medical care in Delta. I want to talk about health care. The Delta Hospital has been, a cause of concern for a lot of residents, with the emergency department closing down sometimes with just an hour's notice. What are you doing, or what steps are you taking to help alleviate some of the pressure on the hospital? Are you helping source out new physicians? What are you doing? What's your part in this?
So we don't source out physicians. That's Fraser Health's situation. But I've been strongly arguing the fact that for Delta, 120,000 approximately people here, we do not have any urgent and primary care centers until yesterday. And I very much appreciate the minister working with me, and I have good working relationships with federal ministers and their staff, and the provincial ministers and their staff. I don't believe in rhetoric, just saying that Councillor Kruger tried to do a motion about declaring Delta as a public health emergency. One, that's not appropriate, and two, only the provincial health officer can do that. I'd rather work directly with the minister and see what we can get done. And I really appreciate her keeping her word that they try to put something in to start. And we have, it's going to be overwhelmed probably because of the number of people that we have in Delta that don't have doctors, including myself. But at least it's a start. But I also made a motion that was approved after very much discussion about accepting downloading from the province to have a consultant come in and do a study with regards, would it be a good situation for the City of Delta to run their own healthcare clinic or their own urgent and primary care clinic. And I took a trip over to Colwood. They have a clinic going, and it's working extremely well. I talked to the doctors in the clinic. They are actually city employees, and they said that it's been a change of life for them. They really, what they're doing is they chose that career to help get people better, and this takes away the responsibilities of leases, of IT, of human resources in situations. So would that be a good model for us? I'm waiting for the consultant that we've just hired to come back to council and give us some options. But I want to ensure that people of Delta have access to proper health care.
So there is a new after-hours clinic in South Delta.
Yes, it's actually at the Tsawwassen First Nations, which is part, of course, of the Fraser Health Authority. I'm very happy that that's there, but it's only a start. We need more. We need to ensure that the City of Delta people have the same resources in numbers as the rest of Fraser Health Authority has. I'll continue to push that.
Let's talk about flooding. The last couple of years, we've seen a lot of rainfall. We just saw it in Abbotsford. Before that, it was in Deep Cove. What steps is Delta taking to protect itself from flooding, in fact, being at risk of the king tides and storm surges? What's in place to help protect against that happening here?
So we've had some bad floods. 2005, we had a bad flood in Boundary Bay, and actually I lived in the area at the time. But now we take steps to prepare and do not wait for the actual event to happen. So we shut off our beach accesses in the Boundary Bay area. We ensure that our dikes are inspected yearly. We ensure that there's actual continuous improvements on them. But we have a tremendous number of kilometers of dikes in Delta. It's about $2 to $3 billion was the estimate for us to bring them up to seismic standards. That's a seismic standard that the Inspector of Dikes, who is with a provincial jurisdiction, is requiring. It's unrealistic that we can fix the dikes to that seismic requirement they have. In Europe, when I was there on holidays, I noticed that they were actually doing batch concreting of blocks that are all different types of shapes, and all along the coast as we traveled down towards Gibraltar. They were doing it at every port. We should be doing something like that. And I was hoping that we'll have more information on that we could try to work with the province to say, is there a better way that we can do it, both from a practical and a fiscal point of view. I look forward to that discussion.
We just heard frustration from the mayor of Abbotsford saying there wasn't enough help coming from the province and the feds. Do you echo those sentiments?
I feel both for the mayor of Abbotsford and the mayor of Chilliwack. I mean, they were promised, and the government has done nothing to actually live up to that promise and make sure that this doesn't happen. It's going to be expensive, but it should be done now, because all it does is get more expensive. But the farmers and the people that live there, and the evacuations, and the fact that it comes from the United States, which they don't seem to be too worried about, we need a better solution there. They have a plan, and the province and the federal government need to work together to initiate that.
When City News Connect returns, we are continuing our conversation with Mayor Harvey and where he sits on the issue of housing and the new mandates from the province to build more. Mayor George Harvey is here to talk with us about how to deal with the housing crisis in Delta. Let's talk about housing, an issue in every city. When it comes to housing targets, you, I believe, are one of the 16 municipal leaders that have voiced their concerns to Premier David Eby about why there shouldn't be a quote-unquote one-size-fits-all model, why the legislation doesn't work in Delta when it comes to multi-dwelling homes on single properties. Why doesn't that work here?
Well, I was the member of the Mayor's Committee that moved that motion. I felt that we, as a group, we need to push back. It might have been Bill 44 that was rushed through, may have had its positives when it was done, but the economy has changed everything. And I was saying the other day to people that, really the request the province and Premier Eby to take a pause, pivot, and work with us to see how we can get construction happening again. A lot of times when we're on a path, on a direction, and something happens to which we didn't actually know about, and we've had to stop, change course, pivot, and move forward. And that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength. They need to do that. But for some reason, I was very disappointed with Minister Boyle's response, which was, to me, I just thought it was cheeky. This is a serious problem. And if we don't have new growth in our cities, we will not have areas for people to come into and buy. But we will be struggling trying to raise taxes to keep going with our infrastructure requirements. So I was very disappointed, but we'll continue to, as a group, it's better working as a group than individually on these types of files, to push forward and try to convince the provincial government to work with us and come up with another model. The one-size-fits-all just doesn't work for the province. Our areas are different. We do not have lanes in Delta. And that's a big impact, because what happens is that it's very hard to get parking within those lots, which are going to have 3 or 4 units in them. So they're out on the street. Our streets are plugged right now. So we need to ensure that we're moving forward in a better way. The housing numbers that they keep asking us to do, to me, it's just paper. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't build anything. We need people actually building new projects with good living conditions, in order that we can move forward and ensure that the population that's going to be increasing here has proper housing.
I understand you have an interest in growing industrial lands here. Why is that?
Right now, 50% approximately of our tax base is from our industrial lands. Annis's and Tilbury, they're two of the largest industrial areas in Metro Vancouver. But we need to look to the future too, is how can we expand these industrial lands. I do not believe that we should be changing them into residential areas. We need to ensure that the industrial lands are well represented and that we have growth in our industrial areas here. And that's giving people new jobs. They don't have to go through the tunnel or the bridge or wherever it ends up to be. But also we have areas like the landfill at City of Vancouver landfill. That's there here just off of Highway 99. Delta's landfill has been there for centuries, as you know, very long, but it's coming to an end. And I have a vision that I'd like to move with the new council in 2026 of looking at a master plan as to how we can change that from a dump into an industrial area once it's getting close to closing. So I'm really excited about that because, again, it's a great opportunity for us to get new growth, people working closer to home, and most importantly, turning a dump site into something that is actually of value.
Finally, the tunnel, the George Massey Tunnel, obviously so many cars go through there every single day, and we know that a replacement project is in the works. Can you give us a better timeline on when residents can expect some movement on that, or when it will be finished?
Oh, it's so frustrating. Even when I was city manager, it was frustrating. The situation right now is, what I've heard, is that the province is looking at perhaps going back to a bridge. One is the construction length of time for the tunnel. It's very technically difficult, from what people tell me in the business, to do a tunnel like that again. Is it going to affect the ability for ships to move upstream because it's going to be higher than the original tunnel? All these things are coming into discussion right now. If they went back to the old plan of the bridge, one, I'm convinced it would be built cheaper, less expensive, of course, and it could be done quicker. So as the mayor, I don't care what it is. Just get it done. Make a decision based on what's best for the province financially, what's best for the citizens of Delta and Richmond and other people that are using it, including some major trade corridor for us. We've got to get ready for Terminal 2 at the port, because that's going to bring in more traffic, more containers, more activity. Do something, but do it quickly.
Mayor Harvey, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you for your time.
I'm Kate Walker. That's it for City News Connect. Thanks for tuning in.